one reason people do not have a lot of empathy for people with homelessness is they think they're just bringing it on themselves. They don't realize that a few catastrophes can happen in their life and they will be in Skid Row. They will be homeless.
I used to have a good house. When I was teaching and having a good salary, I lived in Westwood in a beautiful, beautiful apartment in a beautiful part of Los Angeles. But I have a mental illness and I keep getting sick. I'll start to work and I'll start to be fine and I'll get a job and then I'll not sleep and then I'll have to go in the hospital.
Worked as a nurse's aide for about 20 some years. Then I had my burnout, where something happened that I left my work and came down here to LA and wound up on the Skid Row.
And I am diagnosed as bipolar, and I had been living homeless in Hollywood for several months, and I lived in a graveyard, and I ate mushrooms, and I ate out of trash bags, and it was my first time being homeless.
In the back seat, I got a L-shaped piece of wood and I put it on the back seat, and on the front I had a support. And then that was my bed and my coffee table.
Could not get loans anymore, credit cards, any of that. I have to take whatever possessions I have and I take them to the pawn shop and they're the collateral and they make me a loan. You know, I actually have two bankers. One is Angelo's pawn shop right in downtown Santa Monica, and then there's another one down in more Hollywood area on Melrose called Brothers Collateral Lenders. Lenders to the stars, I think they call themselves. They have a lot of musical instrument guitars and things like that. And the other half of my possessions live there. And if I need to use my camera, I have to go in like right after a paycheck, redeem it, give them all the money I owe them, pull it out, say, to hold a little space for it. I'll be back in a couple of days, take pictures like crazy, get them processed, take the camera back, and there it goes back into Angelo's or Brothers and lives happily ever after, waiting for me to come get it again.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is Blaze and you're watching The Arts, Culture, and Us, and you've just been watching a clip from Humble Beauty, Skid Row Artist, which is an hour-long documentary done by these two ladies right here. As you can see from the beginning, we're talking about how people get to Skid Row in that particular little clip. But first of all, let me introduce you, right? All right, so first of all, say your name properly, Leticia Schwartz.
Correct.
Excellent. And Judith Vogelsang.
You've got it.
Okay, we're going to refer to Judith as Judy for the show. So they did a great documentary, and I'm going to really let them talk about it. You know, I do lots of documentaries, but never I spent that period of time. That's quite a commitment, and I commend you for it. I do. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with this project.
Well, we actually read an article in the LA Times about Skid Row artists were having an exhibit, their first ever. And we said, wow, that's interesting. That might make a really good 10-minute movie. So we went to the gallery and we were incredibly impressed with the art. It was terrific. It was really talented stuff.
Well, it was the last day of the show, and we videotaped like crazy. Yeah. And good for us, because next day the show was not there anymore. And we find out that this show has been generated by a workshop which has been created and by Lillian Abel Calamari.
Yay!
And we went there to visit the workshop, and we were more amazed about what we saw there.
And the stories we heard.
Let me just say, for people that are familiar with the Skid Row area, this workshop is located on the corner of 5th and San Julian. So that's the heart of Skid Row. And we're going to show another little clip here and bring you up to date on. Then we'll talk more about what happened, how they developed this long relationship, and so on. So let's take a look at our next clip.
I'm from Oklahoma City, from the Seminole Reservation. And I'm part Seminole, part Creek Indian, which is called Black Indian. I'm a runaway. And I came here, I was about 12, 13 years old. I was on the streets then, see, because my father had left my mother. I was 2 years old then. So I'm coming to California to find my father. So I came out here in 1941, right after the war, and he had left because he was in the service, see. He was what you call a code talker. You know, because, you know, he's Indian, blah, blah, blah. And I find him, he couldn't recognize me, but I recognized him, see, because I had pictures of him and stuff of this kid, and he had no idea. I was 2 years old when he left home. And he almost fell out when I told him who I was and everything. You know, I asked him why I didn't leave, and he said, well, my only outlet is to paint. Painting takes up all my waking hours. And when I go to sleep, that's it. I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking of an idea, you know. Then I think of something, did I paint that or did I dream that or all the time I'm constantly thinking of what I can do that nobody has ever seen before. I do oil, acrylics. Sometimes I do what you call clay painting. You take the clay, put water with it and squeeze out different colors. And we make different color paint that way. You got the black clay, the red clay, you have white clay, and different, you got the lime and all that stuff. We used to take that and mix it real good. It goes good on brown paper. You know what they use paper bags is? Yeah. We all join together, like the fingers here. We all join together in one hand. We all one people. And before the century is gone, I think, everybody be the same color. Because they're mixing like mad now.
Hey, welcome back. This is Blaze, and you're watching The Arts, Culture, and Us. And we've just been looking at a few clips from Humble Beauty. One of the benefits of showing these different clips of some of the different artists is that you get an idea of what it was that brought them to Skid Row. And oftentimes you'll discover it's not what the stereotype says of drugs and, you know, and doing all these crazy things, but situations that bring people there. So tell us a little bit about that from your observations.
Yeah.
And let's share right now, how long did you work on this piece?
Well, it's nearly 5 years.
Okay, so they're not just talking, they didn't just go there one weekend.
No.
They became part of the family of Skid Row artists.
I think so, yeah. I think that over the years, people appreciated the attention that we paid to them, and I think it may have reinforced some, you know, changes in them.
You know, I think we also need to point out that traditionally, people in Skid Row do not like to be filmed.
That is so right.
So you
so
really,
right.
You know, I spoke to OG, man. We'll see OG a little later. He's part of our photography club, and he's a community activist, besides being a great artist. And he spoke about Joaquin, his name was?
Yes, Joaquin.
Who was his mentor, you know, and how much they'd appreciate it every time you guys would come. And he's not the kind of guy that likes people straight off. You have to really earn his respect, and you somehow managed to do that. How did you actually earn their respect?
We were interested in their story. Yeah. We didn't just want, you know, a 5-minute, a 30-second soundbite. We wanted to hear really their backstory. How did they get to Skid Row, and what's happening now, and what's happening in the future.
That was an interesting philosophy. The first guy was talking about, well, I pawn my stuff at this place and I get money for a while until more money comes. Yeah. Because so many Americans these days are actually doing that. You know, I think that particular scene, you can be in from Beverly Hills to Skid Row and be able to identify.
You are so right. Yeah, really I think we're all going to be using the pawn shop pretty soon.
Do you feel that as you were there that they progressed as people? What was your take on that over that period of time?
I think the fact that we go again and again and we talk and they were happy to see us, believe it or not. And OG has a moment when he said, well, I get confidence in my work, and this is coming from people like you who come and look and say that you like it, and yes, we like it. And he was very happy about that.
But we didn't just go away. We kept coming back. And every time we did, we would hear more of the story. And we try to incorporate these stories into the film with their paintings.
You know, also, we're getting ready to show another clip in a moment, but I just want to point out it's a very transient type place. Some of the people may have been gone for a year or two and then come back. But did you have any experiences like that?
Absolutely. In fact, one woman who's in the show, a remarkable painter, she's disappeared. We just don't know where she is, and we don't think she's seen the film, and it's a shame because her work is terrific.
We're going to go to another clip, and I just want to point out that people disappear all the time in Skid Row, and it's really painful. Okay, we'll go to our very next clip, and we'll be back with Humble Beauty, Skid Row artist.
Prison for armed robbery. You know, I did like 5.5 years, and I had opportunities to watch a lot of different artists. Man, there's some great artists in there, and I was telling somebody, I don't know what, all the artists I met, they always shared things, you know, different techniques. You can't really do what another person do, but they share different stuff, you know, different shading techniques, and, you know, different styles of doing stuff. Even when I was younger, I used to do patterns for tattoos, and I would come out at night, and I would sketch people on the streets, and it was amazing. I mean, and the scenes that you would see. I mean, you know, like this picture here is a friend of mine. He sits right at this corner, right? That's right down on St. Julian and 6th Street. That's his place. That's his living quarters, and he sits out there all the time, you know. And to me, that's a heck of a scene right there. You know what I mean? You know, you can't capture that scene, and that's how he lives. He got his suitcase, he got his bags, you know. And somebody told me that picture was very depressing. But when I was looking at the gentleman, the man is very at peace.
Hey, welcome back. That time we were looking at OG, man, who was a very powerful, dynamic community activist with OG and Services. He also has Skid Row Streetball League, where he's the commissioner. He's part of our other organization, Skid Row Photography Club, and he's a magnificent artist. And we want to say that this arts workshop takes place at the James Wood Center, SRO Community Center down there. And let's give a few moments to the lady that began all this, and let's give a testimony about her commitment to art and bringing art and the opportunity, because it's very, very, very therapeutic in a very crazy world. Extremely. So let's speak about her a little as well.
Okay, Lillian Abel Calamari is a painter, a fine arts painter, a very good one herself. But she also has a degree in psychology, and she works as a social worker, and she worked for SRO Housing. And after being there a while, she realized there was no fine arts for these people, and in her opinion and ours, everyone needs fine arts. Everyone needs art. And so she started the workshop, and she provided the canvas and the brushes and the paint, and all for free. And it's open to anyone. 2 to 4 on Tuesdays, corner of 5th and San Julian.
For 12 years so far.
At least, maybe even 15 by now. Yeah.
I think that can go down as a lifelong commitment.
Oh, definitely. And she's incredibly dedicated. She's not a teacher, she's a mentor. She encourages artwork. It doesn't have to be good, you just have to do it. Sometimes it's remarkable. And that's one of the things that we found the most remarkable about Skid Row. The talent. You know, most people tend to look away when they see Skid Row or, you know, ignore it. But the people there are filled with talent that has to be brought out. And
I think most people have stereotype concepts of what the people in Skid Row are like. What did you guys discover about?
Well, there's, 500 ways to get to Skid Row. It's not just one way. It's not just drugs. It's not just drinking.
I think the number one way now, I saw in the statistic, is people who become ill, then they have high medical bills, and they end up losing everything, and they end up going down there because it's cheaper to live.
Sure.
So it's not about being a drug addict or, I just want to go hang out and be, you know.
And the fastest growing population on Skid Row are women and children.
Yeah.
Because they're being evicted. Because they can't pay the rents anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, they start off in shelters, and then wonderful organizations like SRO Housing Corporation finds them permanent housing.
Well, I guess we could say hello to Anita Nelson. It wouldn't hurt.
We could.
I just saw you guys, we're about to do another clip in a moment, but I just saw you guys at the new Los Angeles Theater that must have been a magnificent feeling where you showed your 1 hour documentary and you had some of the artists come. What was that like before we do our next clip?
Yeah, that was a very, very magical evening. The combination of the first screening of the film publicly and a show by the very artists that are featured in the film. It was terrific, yeah.
We're going to do this next clip in a moment here, and then when we come back, you can tell our people where they can get more information. We have a .org they can get some more information on. Humble Beauty, the artist of Skid Row.
This is my hometown. It's nostalgia town, really.
Are you in this painting anywhere?
Yes, here it is.
Are you
me.
here? Is that you?
Yeah.
He's painting pictures of joy and happiness and celebration, which is a total opposite of what he's been through the past 4 or 5 years. And I admire him. He's trying to go to school part-time, and he's trying to pull himself up, and he's doing a very good job of doing it. But his artwork, I think, is paintings of his soul, his true soul, which is joyous.
It goes back to my early childhood, my first 5 years. Since then, I don't have the pleasure of depicting anything, but my first pure and innocent stage. Sooner or later, my soul is settling down in this something like dream-like passion. Well, I was raised in a small village, it's an Indian village. I developed a strong feeling of attraction to this population that were so primitive and very fascinating to me.
Well, as you can see, all the artists are very distinct and distinguished in their artwork. And just now, that music, what was that music from?
Yeah, that's a Mexican folk tune from a Linda Ronstadt album.
Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Moving on up. Tell us a little more about your experience with the people there. Because, I'm seeing now that you didn't just, like you said, you didn't just go filming, you actually got into the people. In the interview, they're actually revealing their inner selves and desires and dreams and artistic motivations. Tell us a little bit about what that was like when it first started opening up for you.
Well, I think her quality was that she puts the right questions. And although the question is not in the film, but it was very provocative, and they forced them to open up. And then when this bridge has been crossed, then they will continue to be very friendly and very sweet. And
I think we had an advantage being women because we didn't intimidate anyone. And once or twice we had men with us who worked the camera, and we found that there was a lot of confrontation when that happened. But when we just do it ourselves, everybody's friendly. And OG, by the way, OG Man was our passport. He got us into places and introduced us
to you
places.
the first day. You just don't recall.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, the first week that you started coming around there.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, right across the street in the park. We were getting ready to do,
I
think, the fatherhood thing or something else we were getting ready to do.
He took us into the park for the first time, and now we feel entitled to walk in the park whenever we want, Yeah. Yeah, we found an artist in there.
Yeah.
Barbara Dua.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I'd like to know why the name Humble Beauty. Now, we put it all
Well, we felt that this beauty is, in a way, very humble. And it's very good to call the attention of the audience about this humble beauty.
And another way to look at it is people will make art and create things no matter how humble the circumstances are. They're just kind of driven. People are driven to make art, even if they're also trying to survive on Skid Row.
Well, you know what? Tell me a little bit about the materials that they use, what they go through in order to create this art. Because California is known for found artistry, but I'm thinking they find even better things down there or something, maybe.
Sometimes they find materials in the garbage.
Yeah.
And they take a piece of paper and they paint it, and it becomes something so gorgeous and so beautiful. And
like that frame in the clip that we just saw that Enrique was painting, he found that in the garbage can. But he was painting it to make it into something more beautiful than it was.
Yeah. Okay, so we're down to about 5 minutes of the show. Things are going very quickly. The other question I really wanted to get into, I noticed when you went to the showing there at the new Los Angeles Theater, there were a number of other people that were supporting what you were doing. Let's talk about that, because support is essential. No man or woman is an island.
That's right, yeah. Well, this art workshop that Lillian has been running for all these years is a program of SRO Housing Corporation, which is one of the veteran, long-time organizations that help the homeless downtown. And they have many, many programs. Housing, they run about 25 or 26 hotels. They offer all kinds of services, supportive services, get people jobs, psychological counseling, whatever they need, substance abuse.
And evidently art.
And because of Lillian, art, absolutely, yes. And her counterpart used to be Rory White at Lamp Community, and he had an art workshop also called the Lamp Art Project. And
I've seen Shannon's, she's out on the art walk.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so that is still ongoing. Rory's not there anymore, but the art project continues, yeah.
I love that. So tell us, or tell the audience, because I already know, tell the audience we have a .org where they can refer and get additional information about this great piece.
Yeah, we have a website, of course, but we're also featured on a nonprofit website. The Los Angeles Independent Media Center has an article and photographs and paintings from
What did
artists.
it say about you?
They loved it, and in fact, they want to. Somebody from that group was at the premiere, and they want to also have a showing of it in a couple of months. So there will be another showing. We hope probably in December or January.
Now,
let me give the website.
Oh yes,
yeah.
please.
Okay. www.la.indiemedia.org.
Great. So I know you're getting great reviews, and we're down to about 2 minutes. I told you we'd go by quickly.
Right.
So you guys worked together for like 5 years. Some marriages, the average marriage, I think, only lasts about 4 years now. How did you do it? You have different personalities that complement each other. How did you do that?
Well, I think we've learned to be tolerant and to listen to the other person's opinion, and if we feel...
And make compromises.
And we make compromises, that's right, we do. Not everything in the film is exactly like either one of us would have wanted it, but altogether it works.
But you're both co-producers and directors.
And writers.
I saw some other people's names here. Why don't we give their names too?
Yes, we have wonderful executive producers, yes. Joanne Storkin and Madeline DiMaggio, and they have a company called Honest Engine Films. Their support enabled us to finish this film and do professional post-production on it. It was terrific. We love them.
Great. And your next project?
The next project?
You didn't expect that, right?
You know, the funny thing is, the next project is in the can already, and all we have to do is edit it, because we shot it before we even met the Skid Row artists, and we stopped doing it to do Skid Row artists, because this seemed much more important to us.
Well, what's it about?
It's about a visionary artist in Echo Park who is a fascinating person and a marvelous artist of found glass sculpture.
Found glass sculpture.
Yeah.
I love that. I did a thing with Toby Moss from Toby Moss Gallery, and she's big on California artists, and much of her stuff has found art. However, our time has elapsed. My fellow Brooklynite who went to Erasmus Hall, the same high school I went to. No wonder you're so special.
I didn't see you there.
And I appreciate, I must have been before you.
Yeah, right.
See, I'm a real gentleman. And I appreciate you both for coming. this is such a great show. I'd love for everyone to take the opportunity to go and see it. It's just magnificent. 5 years to make a documentary, a real compliment. You guys are real artists, and I want to thank you both for being on the show
Thank
tonight.
you so much. Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure is ours.
My little route is coming down here going past the Union. I don't know if you ever been past Mission yet. You go by, you look at them kids down there, and look what them kids be learning and what they see. Okay, and listen to their language. Okay, so I would come by there and listen to that. Then all the little kids that were getting killed in LA, you know, I mean, just innocent drive-bys were going on. So having come up in that environment, having been in, you know, affiliated with gangs and stuff of that nature, I feel, you know, I want to do something. And that's what gave me the idea for the coloring book. And I got with my granddaughter, and she started breaking it down where on a level where kids could read it. So every time somebody would come over to the house, she would take the pictures. They was in rough draft, and she would read them. She would read this. I had the narrative in one page, and I had the picture. So then what I had her do was to take the narrative and write it on the back of the pages. So she would hold the pictures up and she would read the narrative. And she would do this with everybody come in. I mean, I was thinking, man, people get tired of hearing this book. But everybody would come in the house, they would come over to visit, she would do the narrative. And she would read them. This coloring book is dedicated to all the children who have lost loved ones from the prolonged wars in our urban communities. Page 1, the community had many animals living in it, but the dogs and the cats have been lifelong enemies. Over the years, war had increased and the streets became the battlegrounds and peace seemed to be impossible. At the graveyard, D-Dog and the sad cat asked, if dogs and cats sworn and natural enemies can live together, why can't Bloods and Crips? To be continued.